I'm Jason from Sacramento, California. I was with Alina for almost 3 years. We weren't married, but we lived together and shared most things, including some financial accounts, like a joint card for groceries and bills. Alina had always been a bit impulsive. Shopping sprees, surprise vacations she couldn't quite afford, but I covered when I could. I thought she just needed help getting on track. Then I checked my credit score one day, and saw a hard inquiry I didn't recognize. Followed by a $15,000 personal loan opened under my name. I froze. I called the bank. The loan had been approved a month earlier, using my full legal info, and my email. Only the contact number listed was hers. I confronted her calmly. She denied it. Said it must have been a mistake, identity theft. But her face said otherwise. I dug deeper. Found the digital application. The IP address matched our apartment. The proof of income file she uploaded. It was a fake W-2 she made using a template on her laptop. She didn't even try to hide it. I didn't yell. I contacted the bank's fraud department, submitted every document I had, and filed a police report. She was arrested 2 weeks later for identity theft and fraud. She texted me from a burner account, begging me to drop the charges, said she only did it to buy us a future. Turns out, she used the money for designer bags, a trip to Miami with friends, and paying off her own credit cards. I didn't reply. Her parents tried to reach out. I ignored them too. That debt cleared from my record within 60 days, thanks to the investigation. Her record? Not so lucky. I met Alina Morgan at a friend's housewarming party in downtown Sacramento. That night, she wore a red dress that caught everyone's attention, including mine. Her laugh carried across the room, and there was something magnetic about her presence. When our mutual friend introduced us, I felt that immediate spark people talk about but I'd never experienced. Jason Reeves, I said, extending my hand. Nice to meet you. Alina, she replied with a smile that would become both my comfort and my curse. Our first date was at a small Italian restaurant overlooking the American River. She ordered the most expensive wine on the menu without glancing at the price. When the check came, she patted her purse and frowned. I must have left my wallet in my other bag, she said, looking genuinely embarrassed. I covered the bill, $180, without hesitation. It seemed like an honest mistake. The pattern established itself slowly. Alina lived in the moment. She'd surprise me with concert tickets to bands I mentioned liking, then casually note that her account was overdrawn. She'd buy expensive gifts for my birthday, then struggle to make rent. Each time, I helped her out, believing she just needed better financial habits. 6 months in, she moved into my apartment in Midtown. It made sense financially, she reasoned. We could split the $2,200 monthly rent, utilities, and groceries. Except the splitting rarely happened evenly. I'll get you back next paycheck, became her mantra. Sometimes she did. Often she didn't. Still, our life together had a rhythm I enjoyed. Alina worked as a marketing coordinator for a local firm, making decent money. Not exceptional, but enough that her constant financial struggles confused me. When I suggested a budget, she'd tear up, saying how controlling her ex had been about money. I backed off, not wanting to be that guy. By our first anniversary, we'd opened a joint checking account, just for household expenses, we agreed. I handled most bills while she was supposed to cover groceries and smaller utilities. The arrangement worked for a while. Then came the shopping bags. Designer labels I recognized from magazine ads. New shoes that cost more than our weekly grocery budget. When questioned, Alina always had an answer. End of season clearance. Work bonus. My parents sent me some money. Looking back, the lies were obvious. But I was in love, and love has a way of blurring reality. For our second anniversary, Alina surprised me with a weekend in Napa Valley, luxury hotel, private wine tours, the works. Must have cost thousands. When I asked how she afforded it, she kissed me and whispered, "Don't worry about it. You deserve nice things too." I believed her. That was my mistake. The following month, I received a notification from my bank about unusual activity on my personal checking account, the one Alina didn't have access to. $500 withdrawn at an ATM I never used. When I mentioned it to her, she seemed genuinely shocked and suggested I report it as fraud. The bank reversed the charge and I changed my password, assuming it was random theft. I even thanked Alina for her support through the frustrating process. 3 weeks later, my favorite watch, a Movado my grandfather left me, disappeared from my dresser drawer. Alina helped me search the apartment, comforting me when we couldn't find it. She even suggested filing a police report for insurance purposes. "Sometimes things happen for a reason," she said. "Maybe it's time for an upgrade anyway." The replacement watch she gifted me the following week was more expensive than the original. I was touched by her generosity, never questioning where she found the money. It was early spring when I decided to check my credit score before applying for a car loan. My score had always been excellent, above 800. I expected a quick approval process. What I found instead turned my world upside down. My score had dropped nearly 100 points. And there it was, a hard inquiry from First National Bank, followed by a $15,000 personal loan opened in my name 6 weeks earlier. I sat at my kitchen table, staring at my laptop screen, unable to process what I was seeing. The apartment was quiet that afternoon. Alina was supposedly at a work retreat in Lake Tahoe, another trip she'd mentioned casually, without explaining how she could afford it. My hands trembled as I called the bank's customer service. After verifying my identity, the representative pulled up the loan details. "Yes, Mr. Reeves, the loan was approved on February 12. The funds were deposited into account number ending in 4733. An account I didn't recognize. The application was submitted online using your social security number, date of birth, and address. All verification documents appear to be in order. The primary contact number is listed as 916-555-0187. Alina's cell number. Can you tell me what email was used for the application?" I asked, already knowing the answer. "It's dreves85@mailhost.com. My email address." Someone had access to everything, my personal information, my email, my life. I thanked the representative and hung up, my mind racing through possibilities. Could someone have stolen both our identities? Had our apartment been compromised? But deep down, I already knew. When Alina returned from her retreat 2 days later, tanned and carrying shopping bags from stores I couldn't afford, I kept my discovery to myself. Instead, I watched her closely, noting how she checked my laptop when she thought I wasn't looking, how she casually asked if I'd received any important mail. "Nothing special," I lied. "Just bills." That night, while she slept, I did something I never thought I'd do. I went through her phone. The passcode was my birth date, something that once seemed sweet but now felt calculated. What I found confirmed my suspicions: text messages to a friend about her financial solution, screenshots of my personal banking information, and a photo of my social security card she must have taken from my filing cabinet. I couldn't sleep. Instead, I made coffee and waited for morning, planning my next steps. When she woke, I casually mentioned I was thinking about checking my credit score before car shopping. "Oh," she said, pouring herself coffee. "I'm sure it's fine. You're always so responsible. Would you check yours too? Maybe we could get a better rate together." Her smile faltered for just a moment. "Mine's a mess from student loans. Better to just use yours." "Alina," I said evenly, "is there something you want to tell me about a loan from First National?" The mug paused halfway to her lips. I saw a calculation happening behind her eyes, weighing lies, considering explanations. Then she set the mug down and reached for my hand. "Jason, honey, I was going to tell you. It was supposed to be a surprise." "A surprise," I repeated. "For our future. I've been looking at engagement rings, and then I found this investment opportunity. It's guaranteed to double our money in 6 months." Her eyes filled with tears. "I wanted to contribute something big to our life together. You've always been the responsible one, and I just wanted to show you I could build something too." It was a good performance. If I hadn't seen the evidence myself, I might have believed her. Part of me wanted to. "So the money went to an investment," I said, giving her one last chance. "Yes. My financial advisor said it's practically guaranteed. I have all the paperwork." I nodded slowly. "I'd like to see it." "Of course. It's at the office. I'll bring it home tonight." I confronted her calmly that evening when she returned empty-handed, claiming her advisor was out of the office. I told her what I knew: the fraud alert, the bank's confirmation, her texts to friends. She denied it at first, then blamed identity theft, then finally broke down when I mentioned going to the police. "It wasn't just for me," she sobbed. "Everything I do is for us. You're so tight with money, and we deserve nice things." I was going to pay it back before you ever noticed. The truth finally emerged in fragments between her tears. There was no investment. The $15,000 had funded her Lake Tahoe work retreat, actually a vacation with friends, paid off her maxed-out credit cards, and purchased several designer bags she'd hidden at her friend's apartment. I didn't yell. I didn't cry. I simply asked her to leave for the night while I decided what to do next. "You wouldn't report me," she said, suddenly cold when she realized her tears weren't working. "We're partners. What happens to me affects you too." That night, alone in our apartment, I methodically gathered evidence. I took screenshots of her text messages I'd photographed, downloaded the loan application from the bank's portal, and recovered deleted emails from my account showing password reset notifications I'd never seen. The IP address on all activities matched our home network. On her laptop, which she'd left behind in her hurry to leave, I found a folder of forged documents, including a fake W-2 form with my information showing an income $20,000 higher than my actual salary. She hadn't even tried to hide it, confident in her control over me. By morning, my course was clear. I contacted First National Bank's fraud department and filed a detailed report. I visited my local police precinct with all my evidence, including statements from our neighbors who confirmed Alina had been home alone when the loan application was submitted. Officer Martinez took my statement with professional detachment, but I caught a glimpse of sympathy when he asked if I wanted to press charges. "Yes," I said without hesitation. Full extent of the law. The next 2 weeks passed in a blur. Alina returned to the apartment once, escorted by her friend Tara, to collect essential belongings. She alternated between pleading and threatening, but I remained silent, my lawyer's advice echoing in my mind: don't engage. Let the legal process work. Alina was arrested on a Tuesday morning outside her temporary housing, her friend's guest room. The charges: identity theft, fraud, forgery of financial documents, and grand larceny. The detective handling the case called to inform me, asking if I needed protection in case she made bail. That evening, the first message arrived from an unknown number. "Jason, please. I'm using Tara's phone. They're keeping me overnight until arraignment. You can still drop the charges. Tell them it was a misunderstanding. I only did it to buy us a future. Please. I love you." I didn't respond. The next day. They set bail at $50,000. My parents can't afford it. I might lose my job. Is that what you want? After everything we had? And the day after, from another unknown number. "You're ruining my life over a mistake. That money was for us. For our future. Check your voicemail. My mom's been trying to reach you. I deleted the messages and blocked each number as they came. My voicemail filled with pleas from her mother, accusations from her father, and threats from her friends. I cleared them all without listening beyond the first few seconds. Through my victim advocate, I learned the truth about where the money had actually gone: $5,000 on designer bags and clothes, $4,200 on a first-class flight and luxury hotel in Miami with friends, not Tahoe, $3,800 to clear her personal credit card debt, and the remainder on spa treatments, restaurants, and cash withdrawals. Not a penny had been spent on our future. The bank's investigation moved surprisingly quickly. Within 60 days, my credit report was cleared of the fraudulent loan, my score restored. The prosecuting attorney told me the evidence was overwhelming. Alina had been clumsy in her deception, leaving a clear trail. She took a plea deal to avoid trial, 18 months of probation, restitution payments, and a felony record that would follow her for life. One evening, 6 months after everything fell apart, I received a letter, handwritten, postmarked from her parents' address in Oregon where she'd moved after the case concluded. Jason, it began, I'm in therapy now. I understand what I did was wrong. The psychologist says I have issues with impulse control and magical thinking about money. I'm getting better. I think about you every day and the life we could have had. Maybe someday you'll forgive me. Until then, I'm working to forgive myself. I read it once, then fed it into my paper shredder. My apartment feels emptier now, but cleaner somehow. I've changed the locks, my passwords, my phone number. Sometimes I think about the red flags I ignored, the lies I chose to believe. Trust is a precious thing, fragile as crystal, and just as sharp when it shatters. Alina's final text message, sent the day her probation began, still sits unread in my blocked messages folder. You won this round. But records get expunged. People change. See you around, Jason. I don't know if it's a promise or a threat. I just know that while my credit record has been cleared, hers hasn't been so lucky. And neither has my ability to trust. Some debts can never be repaid.